Family, just another beautiful day. Love and hang on. There's some eye drops to put my eyes here. So I'm not crying. Guess eye drops. Is it honey eye drops? Honey eye drops. Yeah, honey for your eyes. Anyway, it's another beautiful day, man. Just loving it. Just loving every minute of it. Giving thanks and praise to the Creator for you conceiving to be. Love and praise to the Creator all times, folks. Anyway, some clips I'm gonna put about white folks complaining how rough it is. How rough it is because they vote for Trump. You see, they get fucked with a limp dick. They're trying now to complain about Trump and say how bad he is. That they gotta do 2 and 3 jobs. Before they were called us lazy, we didn't like to work. What we want to do is beat drugs and beat thugs and killing people. We ain't like working. We ain't like doing this here. All we want to do is dress in fancy clothes or fancy sneakers and don't want to work. But the more of the time we were working, night time, they didn't see that. Anyway, folks, now they're complaining about Trump and how rough it is for them. When it was rough for us, they didn't want to hear it. When we were having rough times, they didn't want to hear it. When we were complaining, they didn't want to hear it. When I was complaining about racism and this, now they're seeing what the fuck we've been going through for years. Anyway, folks, check these clips out. Chap. Anyway, I'm lost for words. Subscribe, share the videos, leave a comment. Hang on, folks.
To pay for my daughter's daycare. I got paid Thursday and I paid rent and got gas in my car and I have $30 to my fucking name. I don't even know what to fucking do anymore. Like, I need $90 for her daycare in 2 days or she gets kicked out. And mind you, when I was getting paid a little bit more, I was able to make those payments but still be left with hardly anything. Like, I feel like I'm being forced to do stuff that I really don't want to do. And I'm standing out there with the sign and people are disgusted with me. They park far away from me. And I'm not a criminal. I'm not a drug addict. I ask my parents for help all the time, and I'm so sick of it. And my mom's house payment went up, and she is hardly making it as well on Social Security. There's a lot of people out there struggling, and I feel bad that I even fucking did the sign on the side of the road because I should be able to provide for my daughter. And now I became one of those lowlifes.
Financial stability is propaganda. It's fake. It doesn't exist. We were spoon-fed the American dream growing up. We have the older generations telling us that if we just work hard and if we try, then everything's gonna be okay. Newsflash, it's not okay. Everything is so freaking expensive. Every single person I know is hustling. They're sacrificing. They're working multiple jobs. And they're not even able to save at the end of the day. I honestly feel like majority of people that I know are 2 bad months away from literally losing everything they've worked their entire lives for. And this is where they get you, because sometimes you get to a point after all of that hustling where you're like, wow, I can take a breath. Let me sit down for a second and just enjoy all of the hard work that I've done, only to be hit with the biggest bill, the biggest expense that you've ever seen in your entire life. And you're like, well, fuck, that was a nice 5 fucking minutes, but now I'm back to the grind. We are not going to see the doctor. We are not going to the dentist. We are not being healthy because we can't afford it. 6 years ago, I got thyroid cancer, which was the most expensive process I've ever had to go through. And obviously, I will pay whatever to save my life. And I even had insurance at the time, right? I finally feel like I have recovered from that financial pitfall. However, there's all the other things in the world that I'm paying for. Plus, all of my scans look good. My blood work looks great. However, my doctor's like, you know what? Maybe we should do a few other scans. And I was like, well, do you feel like I'm at risk for getting cancer? She's like, no, just to be safe. And I'm like, okay, well, can you tell me how much those scans will cost me? $650. Even though I'm not sick, I feel great. My blood work looks good. My doctor wants to make me do a bunch of scans that are going to cost me $650. And I said, probably not. I'm not going to do that. And sure, if I only had to pay my premium, sure, I would love to get scanned and make sure I don't have cancer again, but I do not want to pay that much money for something that probably is not a risk. And sure, maybe that sounds like I'm gambling with my life, but I need to use that money for my car bill, for my food bill, because you can't go to the grocery store without freaking spending $500 anymore. I'm a pretty positive person, but there has to be a change soon because I have kids. It's just me and my husband, and I don't know how you guys are doing it. Because kids need everything. They outgrow everything. And like people wonder why my generation, why millennials are not having kids and we're not doing certain things. We can't afford it. We cannot afford it.
To the brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm Harvey. You're doing great.
I'm piggybacking off of him.
As you know, I'm your
Hang on,
host.
folks.
House with a big ass shop. Little piece of land, have some friends over, cookout, you know, something cool. You can't even buy a 3-bed, 2-bed piece of with the floors falling in for $300,000. I'm gonna live my dream now. I can't even live my motherfucking dream. This is America. It's supposed to be about the American dream. The American
It's
dream.
a
ain't
fucking
buying a
nightmare.
house that I gotta put another 150,000 into just to walk on the fucking floor. How in the hell was it back in the 80s and 90s? You had somebody working at Walmart selling shit, living in a 5-bed, 4.5 bath, 3,000 square foot house that's worth over $1 million now. Where the did we go wrong? I can't even live my dream. Hell, I can't even fix the road I'm driving on, son of a bitches.
Yeah, I might be renting for the rest of my life. I ain't lying. I ain't got the 20%. I don't know how y'all got the 20%. I ain't got the 20%. Then on top of that, $300K ain't even getting you a nice crib. I'm not asking to stay in Beverly Hills. I just want to stay in a nice place, like the suburbs, a safe place. $300K is not getting you that. $300K is getting you either a shack in the hood or a 2-hour commute to work from the boonies. The boonies or the hood, pick your poison. Yeah, let's just say I had the 20%. I got the crib I wanted. I'm in the suburbs. Who has the closing cost? Who has housing maintenance if something goes wrong? When we're talking about dropping unlimited money already on the crib, now I'm in here and you tell me I can't just call maintenance and they come fix it for free. I gotta pay for my washing machine when it breaks. If plumbing show up, I gotta pay for that. All these housing expenses are on top of my bills already. How? Where is this big boy money coming from? I'm not understanding. But I didn't even think about the part of, you know how much it costs, how much you have to put down just for your mortgage to be under 2 bands? Where's this money coming from, bro? When I see people with cribs like around my age, first home, second home, you got it, big dog, you got it. We live in 2 different worlds, bro. You got it. And property taxes?
The idea that you could get married, buy a house, have a kid or 2, send them to an okay enough school, have 2 cars, send your kid to college, and retire. But get this. Over the last 50 years, the average household income increased 16%, while housing increased 190%, and college tuition increased 264%. On top of that, marketing is a $1.7 trillion industry, so their job is literally to make you spend more money. But of course, nobody teaches you this stuff in school. Health insurance, super expensive. Let's not get started on the quality of food, Monsanto, Big Pharma. It runs deep. But the final nail in the coffin, current government policy and the Federal Reserve actually make the wealth gap worse. Now this goes back a lot farther than this, but let's just start in 2008. Despite banks causing the crash, the government bailed them out and sent them millions and millions of dollars. To do this, Fed Chair Ben Bernanke championed quantitative easing, which is just a long way of saying to print a fuck ton of money. So where does all that money go? Well, into stocks and real estate, of course. And who already owns stocks and real estate? The wealthy, or at least the wealthy enough. Fast forward 10 years and the economy's already sitting on a 10-year bull run. And what happens? 2020, we print 40% of the money supply in just a few months. Now, I know this sounds very one-sided, and quantitative easing had a lot of positive benefits as well, but the only side that I'm on is yours. Now, this is basic supply and demand. Increase the money supply, decrease the value of the dollar. And when the value is decreasing, you want to invest in alternative assets like real estate, stocks, etc. So again, while the average American is saving money, they're losing money, and the already wealthy are getting more wealthy.
You want to know why the middle class is dying? I think the biggest reason is the cost of living keeps going up, but everybody's ability to make income keeps staying the same. So the middle class is being swallowed up into a poverty class. Because the average income for an American-born citizen is $56,000 a year. $56,000 a year, and I think that's before taxes too. So you're only taking home maybe like $48,000. That's $4,000 a month. I mean, most people's rent is $1,000 or $1,200 a month. How do people even survive? drive off of that.
If 74,000 is middle class, if a 27-year-old with a bachelor's degree splitting a 2-bedroom apartment is middle class, how come they can't buy a house? Just 3 short years ago, 74K was middle class, upper middle class, really, because you could buy a house for $250 in 90% of the country. Now you need almost $120,000. So what's your advice to someone who is making $74,000 and in 85% of the country can no longer buy a home? So even if they pay off their student loans, which they should, even if they pay off their car, which they should, even if they save up 20% of $80,000 for a down payment, if they don't have a $100,000 salary to back it up, they can't qualify for the loan. So the question remains, how is $74,000?
The Unions Power America. Nominate yourself.
Family, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Like I said, you're on the food bank. We're going to be Thursday and get a carload of food to stock up on. It's like $200 a month. We go every Thursday and get a whole bunch of food. Canned stuff, eggs, everything. Hey, you got to do it. But folks, I don't know, man. It's going to get like sandpaper, very, very rough. Stock up on food stuff. Buy like 3 cans a day. Go to the dollar store, buy 3 cans a day, and stock up on food stuff. Like I said before, you bought the water, you buy it for $1 from the dollar store, fill it with pipe water, and put it in the garage. So in case something happens, you got water, you're going to get scary, folks. Hang on.
20% down payment, you still can't afford the average house in this country.
To be middle class in America these days, you need to make about $175,000 per year. So I don't think the middle class exists anymore. I think it's slowly becoming you either have money or you don't.
The middle class is dead, and you can tell because the financial advice being given right now is to cease doing the things that define a middle class lifestyle so that you can get by. When the middle class rose to prominence in the 50s, it was accompanied by a boom in areas like department stores and franchises that sold merch and opportunities for to pay for entertainment and vacations. It was accompanied by the rise of unnecessary spending, in other words, of expendable income. Being middle class is fundamentally about having expendable income without having it in such opulent extremes that you're really rich. And what's the financial advice people are giving right now that they seem to think is going to solve everybody's personal financial issues? Don't go out to eat, don't go on vacation, don't buy name brand stuff, buy your clothes off the sales rack. Not participating in those things fundamentally removes you from the middle class. Department stores literally came into existence alongside the middle class because people wanted new clothes without like the cost of tailor-made clothes. These things are the things that
Okay, folks, you gotta hang on, folks. You gotta hang on.
On this app regarding our country's financial future. It was posted by a woman named Tiffany. I will link it. She's talking about how private equity firms have been buying up all the single-family homes. So up until very recently, we didn't actually have the numbers to say just how many homes they've been buying up. And most politicians across the board, Democrat, Republican, whatever, have been saying, well, they're really only buying like 18% of single-family homes. And then economists chimed in and said that if private equity firms are buying up anywhere from 18 to 20 to 23% of single-family homes in this country, that by 2030, they would own 60% of all of the homes in America. Well, we just got the final numbers. In 2023, private equity firms purchased 44% of all of the single-family homes in America, which means death for our middle class. Our generation will not be homeowners.
Once, if you live in the state of Florida, you need to be careful. My mortgage went up from $2,300 a month to $3,500 a month. Basically another fucking mortgage. Why did that happen, Sean? Yeah, let's explain that. So after Hurricane Ian, there was a lot of flooding that happened. That flooding, well, lobbying happened. The insurance companies lobbied DeSantis and said, hey, look, we're going to send you a fuck ton of money for your campaigns. You go ahead and let a few things slide. One of which is making sure attorneys aren't able to sue for appropriate funds. Just enough funds to actually do the work on the property because the property was damaged. And if that wasn't going to happen, they're going to leave the state. And guess what? Some of them still left the state. Now we're stuck with monopolies of insurance companies. Well, also what happened was FEMA. FEMA came in and said, hey, you're not in a flood zone. You're going to be now. They remapped all the flood zones. So that means houses that didn't need flood insurance now need flood insurance. Another thing that happened is local counties as well as the state went ahead and increased taxes. Them fucking taxes go against your escrow. So homeowners insurance, flood insurance, taxes. All that shit went up like crazy in week apparently, because
Yep.
my January 1st payment was $2,300.
Yep.
February 1st, they're like, hey, you gotta make $3,500 somehow. Good luck. All this happened, right? All this happened. So what's happening in Florida? Here's what's happening. They're making sure there's a division of both poverty and ultra rich. There is no longer a middle class here. I make 6 figures in some. Okay, I should be able to afford $2,300 a month mortgage. It's tight, especially with a kid and childcare, which is another mortgage in itself. Anyways, besides the point, what's going to happen? And I'm talking to the ultra rich that probably aren't on TikTok. Send this to your great grandparent that you're waiting on generational wealth from. What happens in the state of Florida when you no longer have kids of the middle class operating the grocery stores, or doing your landscaping, or doing construction on your house, or renovating your house? What happens then?
I'm drowning. I'm drowning in debt, which exacerbates my drowning in depression. I thought by now, at this point in my life, I would have some sort of accomplishment, but I don't. And it's just getting worse. And I know this sounds dark, but I completely understand why people choose to.
Okay, family, you got the message. You see where it's going. It's going to get scary. Middle class, no more. I don't know what to say, folks. I don't know what to say. All I can tell you is yes. I don't know. You can have family move back into family. You can have sons and daughters move back home. I don't know what to say, folks. Yes. Prepare yourself for the worst. Or for the better, but prepare for the worst. Until then, folks, subscribe, share, like, thumbs up, leave a comment. I love you guys, man. I'm out of here. Peace out. Lots of love. It's sad. It's very, very sad. Very, very sad. I came across a lady at the bank today. She said to me, she take her 2 sons to California for vacation. They were staying in a hotel. They were getting up in the morning to get breakfast. So what the kids would do, the 2 kids, 11 years old, what do in the morning? They go and collect breakfast before they leave to go shopping, and take the breakfast to the homeless kids on the street. The homeless people on the street. 2 kids. They tell my mom, we'll go downstairs and get breakfast, but we don't eat it. Put it in the bag and take outside for the homeless kids, the homeless people on the street in California. Sad. Very, very sad. You got homeless in California and homeless in Texas. Very sad, folks. So, folks, I'm out here, man. Much love, much love, much love, much love.